I say that at the start of everything. This all I want to know. I'm gonna mute y'all's mics if I can, or I could not, or if you want, I don't know. We're doing it. We're doing it. Hi, welcome. This is the Art of Rock, where we talk about rock. And I wonder if my chat's working today. Let's find out. First and foremost, I want to thank the Tongva people and acknowledge them as being the traditional landowners of Los Angeles. Every Saturday here, Art of Rock. We're on. Does it work? God, I fucking hate this. We're on Twitch, Angelspit's Twitch. That's where we're going to do it. This is brought to you by Angelspit's Patreon. You can jump on there and you can watch all that stuff for free, free. Or you can throw me $3 a month to help keep me going, and I'd be really grateful. I have a gig coming up in Hollywood, December 11th. Ice Planet 9000. It's electronic, dark, ambient music. I don't know what you want to call it, but I'm very proud of it. Go fucking check it out if you can. There's a playlist on Spotify. I want you to listen to this playlist because there's a whole bunch of awesome bands. Shout out to those awesome bands. How about you send me some more music, and how about you promote the playlist as well? Wow, did I just say that? If you're free on Wednesday night, always remember to check out Culture Vulture's deep dive into synthesizers. It's bloody fantastic. And if you want more music, MTV TV, and that's where we're going to raid to after this. Oh yeah, such good music on MTV TV. It's free. You just send your music in and they'll play it. They also have a Patreon. Go support them. We got to keep them going. They're amazing. And Razi, thank you for being my the amazing co-host. You're bloody rock star. There's Razi's stuff. Go check it out.
I'm lucky to be here. Thanks.
Welcome to the Art of Rock. And Aaron, you asked a whole bunch of really excellent questions, and I'm going to just go through them. So the first question you had was pay to play and promoting live. Expand on it, and then we're going to throw the floor open because this is great.
Okay. Yeah, we've dabbled in this topic, but it always bears repeating. When it comes to promoting your stuff, we've talked about, the days of old, stapling flyers, ripping around town, live. But I think more and more you need to kind of research like the best way to promote your videos, depending on what social media that you're pushing. And for the amount of time that you would, or energy or money that you would spend just trying to gear up for one convention, you could be kind of splicing that up to being like, you know what, I've got this amount of money allocated. I could pay to promote or push something right now. And there's a few options out there,
Sorry, hitting mute. This is great. You just asked a whole bunch of questions, and I'm grateful. Razi, go.
Maybe dividing it into two separate paths. Yeah, promotional budget, and yeah, spending it on things that you ultimately think might give you a return on investment. But let's face it, most of that is very future looking with projections. Good to keep in mind. And the second part of it is if you are spending money on things, focus on the stuff where somebody also is invested, whether it's because they're getting a percentage of what they're doing or because they're just your mates and they're getting nothing also. Rather than throwing at money, I've had these experiences where people are taking fees for stuff and they may be effective, but they're not invested. And there's a big difference between committed and invested, I think, as they say it. But there's a ton to think about there, so open it up.
Thank you. Committed versus investment. You're going to see that so much in the entertainment industry where people, oh my God. And I don't even have the energy to crack that one open. It is really important. Aaron, wow, man, these are great. This is a great question. You gave me a whole bunch of them. I want us to, we'll start here. Look, I am increasingly losing faith. I have absolutely lost faith with advertising online. Lost faith in it. Don't spend your money on it. Find an influencer and pay them. Find another person and pay that person to push your product. So your money, and send it via Venmo or something that isn't taking a cut. Fuck PayPal. Fuck all of this social media BS. send that person money. And if they're not going, and if they're good enough to say, "Oh, I don't want to charge you," then promote the crap out of their thing. Um, so, and look, I'll be absolutely transparent. I'm working with Alex from Vulture Culture right now, and Alex and I did an interview a while ago, and it's going live, I think, today. Um, and I said, "Look, man, I'm going to pay you. I will pay you for this, Alex." And they're chickens. Thank you, Brett, for those fantastic chickens, by the way. I'll pay you for this because you are helping me. You are exposing me to this huge audience, and for bang for buck goes, this is the best advertising that I can get because I am directly hitting my market. And Alex went, "No, man, it's we'll start with this because it's content." And I said, "Well, look, I tell you what, I'm going to scratch your back." I went through and made a whole bunch of short, upright, TikTokable shorts. And I'm posting them everywhere, and I'm pointing to Alex's YouTube and also the gig. I'm using Alex's artwork and everything else, and Alex is also pointing it. So in a situation like this, we're scratching each other's back because we created really good content together. Really, that guy is good. He does good shit. And we're also creating a whole bunch of other things. And here's the other really interesting mythology of internet stuff is that I am increasingly I really think I think I'm selling more stuff live. They're fantastic chickens. Thank you again, Brett. I'm selling more stuff live. That's what I think is going to happen because the internet has become so noisy and it's become so that Aaron, in your situation, you will probably sell more stuff at a convention than you do at a band camp. And the thing is that really ultimately, are you selling your, "Hey, I'm at this convention," or are you selling, "Hey, I exist and I'm cool. By the way, I'm at this convention. And if you like what you see, you can take home some really cool wax coins or t-shirts and shit like that." And increasingly, I mean, because that's the thing about music is that, well, entertainment is you're selling something that doesn't exist. And you're making money off t-shirts. Sure, there's streaming and stuff like that. But yeah, that didn't answer any question at all. Ivan, how about you answer a question for once, as opposed to me not answering questions? Is what I was saying. You always answer questions.
There we go. I would always like the wisdom of Damian Keys over on YouTube is always worth investigating because like he understands music marketing. He understands what we do, and like he's not coming from like the same place we are, but his suggestions are always worth paying attention to because he's really well connected on that. And he would agree with you, Carl. Don't just like blindly pay for like advertising because the ROI on it is abysmal. It's bad. Also, I really can't suggest hardcore enough the value. If you're putting out a URL as part of a ad campaign, make damn sure that that is a unique URL to that campaign, because you will always, you might not know now, but you will want in the future to be able to like differentiate what ad spot has gotten what kind of traction, because then you can tell what kind of ads actually work for you. Without that uniqueness in the URL, it's just a big old messy cloud of stuff going on, and you can't differentiate, which is a giant problem. Back, if this was 25 years ago, nobody would have done that because, nobody thought that was important back then, but it is desperately important.
You're up. Sorry.
Trying to think if I've got anything more to say.
That was great.
I spent too much time in internet marketing to not think about internet marketing.
No, that's brilliant. And I thank you, man. That was great. Aaron,
cool.
I see your hand.
Yeah, I would echo that. ROI is really, really difficult to come by. Like you'll get a fuckload of eyeballs on your thing, but that's really all it is. It's flick and scroll, not to be a storm cloud, but I think the best way to kind of look at everything is to, well, like Carl brought up, it is great to still have bread and butter, kind of steer your opportunities to doing more live gigs. But I have to remind myself more and more just to remain objective and try to look at everything from the most neutral standpoint I possibly can. And what I mean is the so-called fame or the viral video or everything else that just fucking skyrockets. It's all song and dance. It's light and mirrors. There's a lot of shit to where you're fooling yourself if you think that there's literally not like a meeting or a round table to where people are fake it till you make it. They're renting helicopters, they're renting mansions, they're renting Bugattis, they're doing all this shit that's literally rentable because it's put up the appearance, right? It's golden pedestal, diamonds on top, laying on a silver platter. Everything's fucking amazing. But behind all of that, there could literally be nothing. It could just be vacuous and hollow. So if I were to put a finer point on it, it's just try to remain objective, not judging by comparison, and literally just keep thinking, okay, if I am going to strategize and try to pay to play and pay to promote, how do I best steer this thing to keep the tires on the road and to steer everybody into the next live thing?
Nailed it, man. Brilliant. Rezi, talk to me.
Shit, Aaron, I don't want to be a contrarian for everything that I've written down so far, but we literally are in the song and dance business. That is exactly what we're talking about.
False advertising. Why did I read the user agreement?
With that in mind, make it your own song and dance, and obviously renting a solid gold toilet and a helicopter hat are not your thing necessarily, but the honesty and truth in what you're doing can come through, and the dependence of virality and authenticity is a huge area to explore. It may not require authenticity. It may not benefit, the virality likelihood may not benefit from your authenticity, but a long-term process of creating stuff that is you can be a lot easier if you do work with, and authenticity doesn't mean it's you how you are when you're talking to your mom. It just means something that feels natural to you. This is my definition. Something that feels authentic to your sensibilities and doesn't bug you when you do it and doesn't make you roll your eyes and be mad at your computer when you're posting it. So not really contrarian. I'm fully agreeing in that way. Just funny choice of words. The other thing that I wanted to jump to, Carl, or let me say what Ivan, what you were saying while it's still on my mind. Damian Keyes, Andrew Southworth, Matt Bacon, some of these celebrity style influencers who do something that they found comfortable that they can do that's a little bit viral. They're selling courses and they're selling services to take out ads. They are not teaching you how to be successful. They do need some people to be successful to keep their business going, obviously. But that's a numbers game, and you might not hit spending as much as the next person does. Doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter from their perspective. So keep in mind, since we're talking about where to spend money, if you do want to spend, awesome. Damien in particular is giving away free information that you could follow. It is very valuable. Got that. But they're selling courses, and don't forget the success and polish. The song and dance that Aaron was talking about that they're giving is predicated on a few people that do have successes with their program, and that is deeply in the numbers. So consider this next point, which is Carl talking about payments to people who are actually doing the thing. And I take it a step further, and Carl, what you touched on going all the way back is to barter and trade and have your strengths and their strengths meet up and know these people. And this is difficult, and sometimes it takes showing up when you don't feel like it. But you get that benefit of, first of all, not paying the platform taxes of algorithmic obfuscation, where you don't get seen. You don't pay the very literal platform taxes of, well, charges for monthly fees and stuff of being on a publicity service. And then, okay, so to wrap it all back up into one last thing that's a little bit, I feel funny mentioning, but if you do circumvent the payment fees, doing it with barter makes a lot of sense, but doing it by using quasi-cash and cash like Venmo and stuff, somebody's still got to pay taxes for that stuff. So if you're doing your promo budget in a cash way and not claiming it, then that cash, it doesn't show as a payment and doesn't reduce your income. And I'm not going to talk about taxes because I'll get that look from Carl that I'm just about getting now. There it is. But be a little aware of, if you do get into the habit of doing cash-based stuff, your tax burden doesn't diminish like it should when you're doing it, like if you're sending W-2s or W-9s or whatever the tax form is. That's all I have to say. There.
Thank you so much. You said the T word. Ivan, I'm going to go in after you. And Rezi, I do appreciate what you just said. It was bloody awesome. Rezi, go.
Yeah, what was I going to say?
You're going to tell me how right I was, and it's great to hear from me.
It is, and yeah, I mean, the thing with the online influencer internet marketing folks is, be careful, because their goal is to make money off of you as a audience member. Your goal is to get better at the stuff they're talking about. So make sure that they're actually like providing value before you start paying for them. And then on the song and dance, yet again, I mean, like, it all comes back to tracking your stuff, and things that you want to know is like, you want to know the eyeballs. You want to know how many people actually see the thing that you're paying to have seen. Like you want to independently know that, not take their word for it, because their word is going to be a lie. Like, hate to say it, they will lie. That's just what they do. Witnessed it. And then you want to know what the click through, how many of those actually result in people like going and clicking through onto whatever the target URL is. And then from that, you also want to know what we'll call it conversion, like, get full internet marketing here. You want to know how many of those people that click through actually watch the whole video, if it's a music video, or listen to the whole song, or then click through and then bought something on your merch site, like all the way down to the bottom end. Like, you want to track all of that if you can, which I know is becoming more and more difficult these days as laws change, but there's still plenty of opportunity to know who your unique visitors are. And also, that'd be the other thing, is know your uniques. Like, there's a difference between somebody who's visiting every week or every month versus somebody who's never visited your thing before and they're new now, because that's different from somebody who is already a fan. So all valuable information. I'll shut up now.
Thank you. Yeah, man, there was, you just said a lot of gold. You said a lot of gold from your mouth. Okay, so firstly, I want to say tenacity is everything. It is absolutely fucking everything. That the amount of times that people go, oh, I've got this really cool idea, then they don't follow through with it. Usually it's because the voice in their head talked them out of doing it. You've got to be tenacious. You've got to be stubborn. You must be tenacious. You must be stubborn. Secondly, you're going to hate me for this, but I don't care. Bands who do not pimp themselves do not exist. There is a correlation between pimpage and popularity, or pimpage and people turning up to your gig, or pimpage and people knowing about your music, downloading your business music, buying your business, da 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 da. If you look at bands who have who are what you call making it, or who are popular, who are growing, you will see that they are pimping like crazy people. They're pimping like crazy, out of control people, because you must. You absolutely must pimp, and you must pimp on your personal things. And you go, oh, my friends and family are getting sick of it. Why are you giving a fuck? Pimp, motherfucker. Pimp. Pimp for your damn music. This isn't about you. It's about your music. And your music's probably more eternal than you are. So shut the fuck up and pimp. Then I had a whole lot of other abusive things to say, but I forgot what they were. So, yeah, fucking pimp. No one's coming to your gigs because you're not pimping. You know, it's really interesting that increasingly you're not. People need to see something 5 times before they even consider making a move on thing. 5 times before they consider it. On your Facebook, fucking events thing, all those people who are coming, firstly, make sure they're in the same city, and then divide that number by 4. And that's how many will probably come. Same with your RSVPs, divide that by 3. That's why you gotta pimp. And it's always got to be a constant reason to do this thing, to buy this album, to listen to this thing, yes, echoing what Aaron said, you've got to have a tiny 1 paragraph or 1 sentence spiel. Here's the worst advice in the world, and I always come back to it, and I'm really sorry. It's really hurtful. You ready for this? No one gives a fuck about your shitty little band. Make them. Make them give a fuck about your shitty little band. Make them. And I will echo, it's all fake. Sure is, make them. And also, look, I'm just going to huckle down on this. As far as influencers go, pay them money. Money. Pay them money. And you can choose how you're going to get that money, cash, guilder to them, but you're going to pay them. Because everybody else in the world is talk. Talk. But when you turn up to a venue and say, I want this space, and you write them a check right there and then, or you put cold hard cash in your hand, or you tap your phone on the square and say, let's do this, it means you mean business. And if you're talking to, whatever, XYZ, money, and I hate money probably more than the next person, but it talks. Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah, agreed. I think more and more, how do I best phrase this? I think when people get frustrated at success or lack thereof, or metrics, or I think a lot of it is just, it just may be a lack of understanding or lack of reminding of everything that it's going to take to make your project work. In other words, we talk about marketing, but from a cinema and television standpoint, your make or break for a lot of shows and a lot of your bullshit that doesn't get renewed, and a lot of these things that you love with all of your soul, and then it gets canceled after season fucking 1. More often than not, they didn't have a well-rounded picture of what they were doing. I don't give a fuck what you say about, oh, well, they're a big studio and da-da-da-da-da. Well, it's similar to you releasing an album, And, oh, yeah, they must have planned X, Y, Z. Not true. They don't always do their due diligence to plan for all of these things. So in other words, utilizing the tools that you have, a lot of things are called ancillary products. What is tied to your thing? Album. Fuck yeah. Headbang, breaknecks, cash checks. Cool, man. What else sells your album? I.e., shirts, wristbands, stickers, in my case, candles, prints, et cetera, you have to start looking at a well-rounded approach for your ancillary products. And let's say your ancillary products are not physical. Cool story, needs more dragons and shit. Bandcamp has an option to where what? You can give away things, right? If people buy this, they get that. If they promote this, they get that. So start utilizing that plus your Bandcamp Fridays and everything else. And this coming from a dude that didn't have a Bandcamp until like a week ago. Confetti. So just think about the fact that as much as you fucking hate marketing, think about the full rounded scope of what it takes to market, and think about the ancillary products or lack thereof, you know, and just kind of re-examine it. It's not a right away thing. It's just it's a self-reflection thing. What am I not doing and why?
Thank you. I'm going to add to that really quickly. Firstly, whoever said build it and they will come needs to be put up against a wall and shot. It is the worst advice ever in the history of the world. Secondly, you know about a thing, a band, a TV show because someone or something told you about it, not because it was good. Someone told you about it. And here's how it usually works. If your friends tell you to see it, it's probably good. If your Disney or Corporation XYZ is telling you to see it, it's probably crap. So isn't that funny that when your friends tell you something is good, when your friends give you a recommendation, you're going to move with it? These days, we don't have friends anymore. We have influencers. Friends were phased out about 5 years ago. No more friends. You have influencers now. So if an influencer tells you something is good, you'll probably move on it. And I'm telling you, man, I've got a studio full of stuff where an influencer has told me to do it. And I will research it, or I don't care about advertising. I listen to influencers. And it hurts me to say that because I know I'm one of them. I'm one of those people. Alex, how's Berlin?
Quick, what's it called? Side in. I recently made an account on Blue Sky because the platform seems to kick off finally. If anybody has a handle or something, let me know so I can follow you.
And thank you for that aside, because that is something we do want to talk about very shortly. I feel like, does anybody want to continue on the us getting angry about everything right now, or do we want to change to a different thing that we can get angry about? We can get outraged about. Another one is, what platform are you and aren't you using? Why? What platform aren't you using and aren't you pimping? Why? Do we want to move over? Okay, we're going to move over. Aaron, I don't think I wrote your question down very well, but in 200 words or less, can you give me that question? Then we're going to shoot our mouths off.
Yeah, it's a self-reflective thing. So you're gonna have to get zen, man. It's what platforms are you promoting and why? Like promoting your shit on. What platforms aren't you promoting on and why? You might need to re-examine. I don't really like fucking around on, Green Square. Who gives a shit? There's always gonna be something that comes along, right? It's gonna be Orange Triangle, Green Square, fucking Tweety Bird, like whatever social media fucking horse shit comes out, that there's no reason why you couldn't have a presence on there, right? If Whack-A-Mole's the new fucking, I brought it back. If Whack-A-Mole's the new fucking social media platform, why the fuck aren't you infecting it with your madness? Why aren't you putting industrial shit? Like for me too, like I'm not the full blown, like musician route. It's like I do more horror comedy. But why the fuck isn't Grimm there? If the next thing is fucking Cotton Candy Sky Clouds, then, well, Grim Reaper for Hire needs to be on Cotton Candy fucking Sky Clouds, because maybe there's people on that platform that enjoy that type of shit, but they just didn't know it's there yet. Or they just made an account and it's day 2 and they go, oh shit, we got horror comedy on here. Let's fucking go. And then. But again,
Good, that's good.
What are you promoting? What aren't you promoting? And why?
Okay, thank you. And Aaron, whatever flavor of rage you've been slipping into your coffee over the past few weeks, I think we all need to be having some. Because these are great. Okay, I'm going to go first. I don't know where my put your hand up signal is on this damn thing anymore, because I hate my life. All right, this is really interesting because I'm finding that groups on Facebook aren't working very much. I'm finding that Instagram is working, and I'm actually getting into TikTok as well. So I'm getting the one thing and I'm posting it across different things, and I'm trying to do it at different times. I still use Twitter or X because it yields. As much as everybody wants to boycott or doesn't want to boycott it, their people are still on it, and my audience is still on it. Also, it's fast and easy way to like set up a schedule. And the thing about it, if I do a post to TikTok, I'll actually do it 3 times. So I'll do it today at 8 o'clock, tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and the day after at midday. So it's sort of, and then I have 3 different, I meant to say Twitter just then. I have 3 different Twitters, and they all go at different times. Yeah, so I'm finding that Facebook engagement is really lax. I don't have very much luck with threads either. I'm also getting into a lot of like, I'm trying to figure out Reddit. Reddit's a great place to go if you want people to tell you that you suck. Yeah, and I'm trying to like do more stuff through Reddit, but Reddit's hard because you can't do a press release on Reddit. It's got to be words. Like you got to sit there and think about it. And it's interesting that I've was thinking this week that I've got a whole bunch of media that I hit when I do a post. I don't need to do them anymore because they're dying. I was on Mastodon for a while, nothing. I was on all of these different things for a while, nothing. So that's my thoughts. Aaron, I see your hand. Hand of fury.
But in tandem with this, I think about the fact that I think to supplement the question of what are you using and what aren't you using and why, I think a lot of emotional investment comes into it. I think a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to be on that fucking XYZ platform because I don't have friends over there, or I don't have this, or I don't have a following, or I don't have that. I would equate it to the amount of emotion that you pack into a flare gun. If you were lost in the middle of the woods or in the middle of the ocean, you had a fucking flare gun, there's no emotional investment there. You're like, fuck it, click, clack, bang, shoot it in the sky, get attention, right? That's all it should be. If you find other relationships by extension or more internet friends, then fuck yeah. But I think we need to kind of reframe how you see all the social media horseshit and just be like, it's literally a flare gun. Fuck it, send it, get attention. That's it. Anything beyond that is just a bonus.
Okay, your flare gun thing's fantastic. And I want to like everyone remember that.
I'm missing the hand up thing as well, Carl.
Oh shoot, Rob, what do you got?
Don't forget networking. So, I'm going to reinforce what you said, Carl, about cross-pollinating between influencers. So I follow Vulture Culture as well, have been for many years. And when I see the pop-up of Ice Planet 9000, I see it on Vulture Culture and on Angelspit or Ice Planet 9000 popping up. And I click on it straight away, and I don't care who it's coming from. I want to watch it. And this is where some other folks in the industry have also cross-pollinated. So think about Floyd Steinberg and Woody, the piano guy. They all cross-collaborate with their own Discord channel, and they all promote each other, and they do competitions on creating music together. And that kind of combines the forces of viewers across 2 communities to all follow the same stuff. Same thing with metal. I follow a lot of metal influencers, and they shout out to each other. They have interviews with each other, just like you've been doing with Alex. And that kind of creates a whole new area of interest. So if you've got followers on one influencer who suddenly see your stuff, then they might migrate over to you. So that's one way to reinforce it, and it works. It works really well. The other area is really simple. It's just doing a comment on somebody is trying to promote their stuff. So if I see Carl promote something or Aaron promote something, I'm straight away on there typing, because when I type shit, all of the people in my network get a notification that Rob's just typed on this interesting thing, and they go and check it out. So don't forget that. just putting your comments on somebody else's post will help promote and extend the network. So, think about that flare going up. You want to go the flare to be seen all the way around the whole world. So if every country puts a comment on that one post, you're maximizing the network visibility.
Brilliant.
That's all.
Well, thank you so much, man. Yeah, it's like that when you see your friend throw up a flare, you just bounce it along. That's great. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, Eliza, yeah, Reddit, be scared. There's actually a couple of different, like, find, like there's an ambient music, online thing called Lines, and it's quite good, to go to try and talk about stuff, to talk about gear or stuff they probably don't really want to hear about because it's a bunch of musicians. What I'm saying is try and find a place where your audience are, and a trick. Musicians probably won't be your audience because musicians don't buy stuff because musicians think everything is free. I remember, man, I was in this band once, and it was actually Jekyll Switch, and we just started pulling musicians, and they all had short hair, standing there like this with their arms crossed with a Tool t-shirt on. And I said, guys, this is bad. And they went, why is it bad? We got musicians, so it means we're doing something interesting. And I went, yeah, but they don't buy merch. They don't give a shit. And half of them are on the door list anyway, because either they're in the other bands or they're on the door for the other bands because everyone's playing to musicians. Don't. So figure out where people who are looking for music to listen to, support, buy, whatever, figure out where they are. Instead of pimping to a group about ambient music, you might pimp to the group about who are into yoga or something like that. I don't know. I'm prattling now. Does anybody else want to jump in at this point? Because I just found out where my hand sign is, and I can put my hand up. Thanks, Raziel. No, nothing. Anyone else? No. Oh, we could move to another question if you like. Okay, let's move to another question. What do you invest in? Merch? Where does your ROI come from? What do you invest in? Other creative endeavors, synth software, advertising? Aaron, do you want to pick it up here and ask this question?
Yeah, I'm game. So again, so much of this that's self-reflective, man. Got to break out like the singing bowl, whatever your Zen thing is, man. But like really, honestly, it's like, yeah, it's questions that I think you need to ask yourself to where it's like, what do I invest in that could be physical, i.e. merch, and things that will keep selling, et cetera, et cetera. And then also, what do you invest in? Like, it's one thing to be like, I'm gonna get this. It's the meme where somebody's like, you better fix my life, you little shit, and they're like pointing at a synthesizer or they're pointing at a new instrument. But on that token, you may be able to re-examine or reframe. You know what? Maybe I don't need XY instrument right now, but I do need to brush up on my creative skills. I need to fuck around with Microsoft Office. I need to worry about mess with Adobe, et cetera, et cetera. And we could argue the merits of, well, this is free and that is free, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But some things are just the go-to. Some things are an industry standard. I mean, Adobe is like is dead on, and we got rockets and flares. But point being, it's like, it may be worthwhile to invest in that. And fuck's sake, I know it's not cheap. I know Adobe used to be like, well, free, but then it turned into $30 a month. Now I think it's like $60 a month. However, the amount of malware that you're avoiding and the amount of fucking abysmal bullshit that you could be like adopting because you're using free.fuckery.whatever.com. I'm spiraling, but the point is, what are you investing in from a merch standpoint that could be something that you continually keep utilizing and keep selling, i.e. magnets, wristies, and what are you are or aren't you investing in digitally that you could be, that's going to help yield results, because you always need fucking album covers. You always need images. You always need things for press junkets. And if you're pimping your shit, again, like we talked about, peer-to-peer, influencer marketing, etc., they'd be like, oh, cool, man. Well, send me an image when you get the chance. Fuck, I don't have it.
Yeah.
It's like, why don't you have it? Because you need a fucking image and you need that text on there. You need something to slap bang together. So you've got it pre-planned and you can send it.
Okay.
So investment.
I love it, man. Thank you so much. And remember, if anyone in the Zoom is getting too frazzled, watch Brett's chickens because they're fucking great. And thank you again for your chickens, Brett. That was great, Aaron. Thank you very much, man. It's really obvious that you've had this Kickstarter has been you've had an experience here, man. Either come to Jesus or come to hustle. I don't know what we call that.
Well, if I may, I'll keep it short. I'll say with the Kickstarter, like I didn't overextend, but there's a lot of shit that I thought would move, but didn't. Like there's still future opportunity in that, and there's obviously reflection involved in that. But yeah, a lot of them that I thought, man, this is going to be the fucking cat's pajamas. Somebody else had to whisper in my ear, cats don't wear pajamas, you fucking idiot. It's
well,
like
what you say is really true.
Maybe invested in something else.
Yeah, what you say is really true. And that's the wonderful thing about Kickstarting or crowdfunding is you can gauge what ideas do or don't work before you actually fork out for them. Although, because you can't say online, hey, I'm going to make this thing, who's going to buy it? And everyone will go, yeah, I'll buy that. And they don't. Trick of all the people say, yeah, I'll buy that, divide that number by 10. 100, actually. Yeah, so it's a really good way of doing it. In answer to the question, actually, I'm going to throw it to Alex and then Rob. Alex, what do you think?
Again, another side note. If you're like me and don't like Adobe as a company, their competitor Affinity has a sale where everything is half off. So yeah, if you are willing to try them, I think it's only like $40 at a time. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Excellent, thank you. Rob, what are you thinking?
I think it's money aside, because I think money is a bit relative depending on what you're creating. So, and where the money comes from is another story. But I think it's more about what's important to you and what do you want to claim rights to. So you can get a lot of stuff for little costs, or you can get a professional to do it for you, so it's unique for you. And think about the album cover and branding. Do you want it to be okay, or do you want it to be fantastic? You have to usually pay for fantastic, and you've got to invest in that mentally, not just financially. You've got to have ideas. You've got to be able to communicate what you're looking for or what you think would be a good idea, so an artist can give you options. Because at the end of the day, you may not have a very clear view. You might need somebody who's more creative in that area to create that for you, and that will take some time and investment. And that brings me to the second point. It's all about time. What do you invest in? It's not the money so much, because that's relative. It's the time. And I'll give you an example. I've spent hundreds of hours doing visual stuff in the last few months, and I turned on my door and I forgot how to use the fucking thing. And it's like, hey, this is really cool. I've become really expert at visuals and shit. But I've forgotten what I was doing. I can't even find the freaking spatializer in my door. Which door did I put it in? So investing in things that are important to you, that are relevant to your product line, I think you probably need to make a little list and say, these are the things I'm going to do myself and be really good at. And outside of the box, these are the things that I'm going to have to ask a friend, pay somebody, and pick which one, because you can't have them all. Nobody's got enough time or money to have them all. So just pick the most important one. And I think to Aaron's point, visuals are super important. So if you're going to invest in something, I've paid a graphic artist for an album cover for a band in Australia to get exactly what we wanted. And we wanted the rights so nobody else would reuse that graphic. And so it was nothing. It was like $80 for exclusive rights to a graphic that they'd already made and said, hey, do you want to use this? No, I want that. We want that for the front album cover because it was impactful. And you don't want anyone else to use it. So think about that. So it's not just the content that you're creating and the time that you're investing. It's also what are the tools that you're investing in all the time? Because, I like to play and experiment and fuckerize with instruments. And I'll spend a few months just mastering one, and then I'll get bored with it after I've saved off content, recorded stuff, and then move on to a different instrument. Is that really building your persona as an artist? I would say no. You're not finding your own sound. If Carl changed instruments every album, people would get really fucking confused. So I think being good at something like the Blaster Beam Bryce Planet 9000, bam, that's like a staple. He's invested in it. It's reproducible. You're getting better at it over time. So people are always attracted to the new album because they say, what has he done next? What new fuckery has he created with that thing? I think that's really important. If you spend too much time dicking around with too much stuff, you will really kind of desecrate your own style and you'll detract from your own brand. That's just my thought.
Thank you. You said some very, very, very important things there, and I'm going to pick up on a few of them. Firstly, I want to say that something amazing, call it 95%. Something that's okay or pretty good that you did yourself, call it 70%. The difference between those two things adds up real quick. And you might not notice it at first, but down the road, you're going to notice it. I will echo that for smaller things, yes, you can use Photoshop yourself. But when it comes to album covers, when it comes to things that matter, that are iconic in the public eye, it's got to be, I've always thought that whatever I do has got to be, it's got to sit next to David Carson, who's one of my favorite graphic designers. And he does a lot of the Nine Inch Nails covers. And they are iconic, beautiful covers. And my shit's got to stand next to it. And sometimes, yeah, sometimes no. But that's what we strive for 100%. And it's okay to get 95%. And I will then say that done is better than perfect. Don't get me wrong there. Yeah, the investment of time. As far as merch goes, I don't really spend money on merch anymore. If I do a Kickstarter, I will create an extra 10% of merch created because it's getting increasingly difficult for me to sell merch, honestly. My investment is time easily. I used to say 75% of my time was admin. Now it's 80%. It's 80% online stuff, dealing with releases, all that stuff. It's admin. I call it admin. And, Rob, I am with you so much, man. I haven't turned my computer on in such a long time because I've been doing admin. And I'm always, funny thing about doing music is you go, I know exactly what I did today. I got this song from here to here. I put down vocals. I wrote vocals. I did the synth work, whatever. I can quantify and remember what I did. But with admin, nah. I have a to-do list and things got crossed off. And I always go, how different would my life be if I didn't cross off that thing? If I didn't cross promote onto that pipeline? If I didn't tick the box of that, what looks like extremely mundane, dumb fucking thing on my to-do list? How much would my life be different? Whereas I can look at a song and go, in 10 years time, I will go, I am glad that I angsted over those lyrics for a week, a month, a year, because it fucking kicks me in the balls still. Whereas, oh no, I didn't promote correctly to Twitter for once. Who gives a shit? And to me, that is a wake-up call. Every single time I have done a song, and I learned this one quick, where I did not strive for the absolute best that I could do, I have deeply regretted it. Like, deeply deeply regretted it. So yeah, Rob, remember what your core product is. And then remember what the idea behind your core product is. Like, you're not just making music. If there is an idea behind the music that is pushing you, that is something of great strength. That will drive your tenacity. Rob, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, you just raised an interesting thought in my noggin. There's a lot to be said about all the admin and promotion and marketing, right? But back in the 80s and the 90s, how much time did we spend doing that shit as a band member? Like, we were not worried about that. It was like a difficult problem. Like, who's going to find us a gig? It was this magical who, right? This person magically would appear and say, I'm going to get you gigs. And the band itself would struggle to work out what their playlist was, let alone work out the marketing aspect of it. And I say this for a reason. Me and another guy who came out of a Wollongong College of Music, we would promote bands, in our hometown, and we would go to other cities and recruit bands to come and do gigs in our hometown. And we would do flyers. We would print out and design the flyers, the zines. We did zines every month for the local music guide. And we would do all of this for free. And I would use my company's printers to print it all the shit out on the weekends without them knowing, right? We would spend hours doing all that shit in Microsoft Publisher and just make all these zines. How did we get paid? I did mixing in the venue, and my buddy got a percentage of the door charge. That's how we got paid for promotion. The bands didn't give a shit. They're like, oh, cool, they got us a gig. That's awesome. Oh, and they've also advertised by printing out, 600 flyers and running around all the car lots of all the Woolies, and the Coles, putting them on their wiper blades and shit. And we kind of miss that these days. I mean, a lot of these art of rocks are all about marketing and social media and promotion. And it's like, why has this gotten so hard? Mentally, it's gotten fatiguing because we've got to do all this shit by ourselves. And I know that punk rocks and, indie and do it yourself is awesome, but there is a big toll to be paid for doing all this shit yourself. And it's almost like you need to have this wacky, kooky marketing promoter guy in your circle of friends who can just do all that shit for like 5 bands or 5 artists, and they take some kind of percentage of revenue to kind of manage it all. So all of us fuckers don't have to worry about it. I mean, it's a mental burden, and I don't think that it's healthy for everyone to have to bear that burden. And I don't think that everyone's cut out to do it either. So just a brain fart. How would we fix this in the digital age? Because this is really crazy. Go ahead.
I absolutely agree. Thank you so much. I'm going to come back to that. How you went to university. I found out this week that Southern Cross University, which is the university that I went to, it had a music course. It was one of the best music courses in the world. Like, Berkeley went, wow, this is a fucking good music course. They've stopped making music. They've stopped doing it because there's no money in it. And what's fascinating is the thing that's changed is money has become the currency as opposed to cool. Because in music, cool used to be the currency. It ain't anymore because now you can buy cool. It's money. And that's why, and answering another thing, and this is going to turn into a conversation, but I don't want to have the conversation today. I've got some really cool things I want to talk about. You need an AI, everybody needs an AI co-pilot, for want of a better term, that goes, okay, I am going to take care of all of your social media marketing. And I know this, Hootsuite, and I know we've already had the conversation where we've gone through all of the mass things, but it's like, you need an AI that is going to go, well, you've got a release coming up. You know how we did that I've got that release thing that tells you, put in the date you want to release it, and it will go all the way back 3 months prior. And so you need to have it to mastering by this date, da 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 da. It will tell you everything. We need an AI that can do that. And not only that it can do that, it can post and it can write the goddamn blurbs and put in the hashtags. And that technology exists. It bloody well exists. I haven't figured out how to put it together. I don't want to have that conversation right now. But it is a conversation that at some point someone's going to say, here it is. It's your record, my own personal record label thing. My own personal record label. That's what you need. I had a point that I wanted to jump on and I forgot what that was. But and thank you, Rob. You know, like just saying it again, it's fascinating how it's changed. Like with this gig that I'm doing now, like I remember clearly, oh yeah, we got paid $20. Oh, awesome. If we didn't get paid at all, we'd be pissed off. But you could pay us in beer or $20 and we'd be fine. Now it's, oh no, you need a whole bunch of money. And it's really interesting that I am seeing a change in what people are willing to do to work for that. And I acknowledge that some of the change is because I haven't kept up with the change neurologically speaking, but it's also the change in that at the end of the day, it's rock and roll. And there are certain rules in rock and roll that are concrete and they will never change. That is, people have to like you, they have to hear about you, they have to be interested, they have to be engaged, and they need to be motivated to go to the gig. That ain't going to change. Or to buy your stuff or to click. That will never change. But the workload involved with people willing to do that is directly on their product. Look, and that's what I was saying before. I'm sorry, I'm on a spiel. That behind your music, it is tenacity that will make your music work. That's it, man. It really, you can have all the talent. I don't want to work with talented people anymore. I want to work with tenacious people. That when no one gives a shit about the gig or the release, you are still going, you're still pushing it, you're still doing it. That's what I need. I didn't forget where I was going with that. No, that was, I had a beauty. Sorry, it's gone. Can someone prompt me? Where was I going? Like I'm like I had something really fantastic. Fuck, it's gone. Aaron, what do you got?
No, I'm trying to figure out how to steer that. Did it have something to do about like the way that you used to promote
yes,
it?
thank you. I got it. Okay.
Okay.
I was mentioning before how tenacity. But something's got to feed that tenacity. You're not just tenacious. Something feeds it. There is a passion and a drive. And the passion and drive can't be money. Not in rock and roll. Because you'll get 1 or 2 or 3 albums out if your drive is money. It ain't enough. You've got to go, I want to heal the world. I want to heal my community. I want to bring a peace, a calmness. I want to bring rage. I want people to be able to feel like they're not alone. You need a world building ethos behind your art. The reason you are doing, I do art because art heals and builds communities. That's why I do music. That's why I'm involved with it, because music heals. It brings you closer to God, and you can define God however you want. It brings you closer to your fellow man and people, and it brings you closer to yourself. And it makes all of the madness and the rot in your brain make sense, and you could even turn it into something beautiful. That's the power of music. That's why I do it. It's a healing force. And rage and anger are also beautiful healing forces, and that's perhaps a fight for another time. What drives your tenacity? Because the tenacity will keep the music going. That's what you need to think about. Aaron, your hand was up first, and I'm going to throw it to Rob. Go.
Yeah, I would say to echo that too. You know, it's like that someone had said at one point that when you're happy, you sing the lyrics, and when you're sad, you understand them. That is very poignant for a lot of things. And not everything is sad and not everything is soul wrenching, you know, but there's something to be said about, you know, or phrase it however you like. When you're happy, you sing the lyrics, but when you get a downbeat and you're introspective, you reflect more on it. Or when you're kind of, you know, staring at the ceiling, you're doing that, you know? So yeah, it's something to be said about, like you said, to put a fine point on tenacity and drive and the things that you're after and what your goals are, and you know, and the staying power of lyrics and everything that you're doing. You know, it's like it all, you can just put a nice bow on it. You know, if your cornerstone is tenacity and something with a goal in mind, that again, yeah, it's not strictly speaking monetary, you know, and those are goals that you may never have to broadcast. I think that's the other side of it. People give themselves anxiety being like, oh my God, one day I'm going to have to fucking like explain it. You ain't got to explain shit. You could have your own little notebook, your own little things pinned up on the wall, your whole master plan with yarn and ribbon, and just be like, I'm fucking doing this. This is my opus. This is everything, but I may not have to ever explain it, you know, but it's something that brings me joy and something that I could Stratocast out there. But, you know, stop giving yourself anxiety about having to over explain shit. You know, you can just, you know, plan it and send it and enjoy it.
You nailed it. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you very much. Rob, talk to me.
Yeah, I mentioned investing your time and your money in different things like your art and your graphics and all that sort of stuff. There's one thing I didn't mention, which actually Grim reminds me of a lot, and that is that your drive, your tenacity is your ability to tell stories, your storytelling. And that's what captures an audience. That's what immerses them in a feeling or a mood or anger. It doesn't really matter what it is. It's just that emotion. And investing in the experience that you want your viewers to go through is really important. So your drive is to tell a story. You create a song, you create lyrics, you create graphic, okay. But how do you want them to truly experience that creation? Is it at a nightclub? Is it, you know, as a support band? Is it a theater with surround sound, with lights and video? Is it Rockville in Florida? You know, like you've got to have a vision of what the ultimate experience would be for your viewing audience to really get it and really understand it. And the investment in the experience is like Aaron investing in, you know, props and costumes for Grimm. It's investing in art. It's investing in video. It's investing in telling the story. So you might say that you write the lyrics, you put the vocals down on track, and then you think you're done. But if you get 3 or 4 people to kind of give you some feedback, and they'll say, "Yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't get it." And I'll give you a really annoying example. I made a music video and promoted a single artist out of Melbourne, Australia last year, and he asked me to do a video, and the video was about mental abuse of a girlfriend mentally abusing the boyfriend, and he's the boyfriend. And he wrote these fantastic lyrics, an excellent song, and he said, "I want a video clip." So I put images together, sent that video out to a small group to get feedback, and they were basically in tears saying, "Oh my God, you have no idea how much people don't talk about this shit. This is super important," and it really got me. I then showed the artist the video, and they said, "Rob, that's not what I asked you to do. I wanted you to put in pictures of me over all the years, you know, with how I was a musician, young with long hair, and then I had got old and sick and blah, blah, blah." I said, "Okay, I get it. I'm just a dumb graphic dude. I'm going to build that video." It flopped because he was promoting himself, whereas the listeners were going to connect to the emotional experience that I thought I was doing a good job on. And so when you invest in the experience think about your target audience and what you want them to want to feel. So it's not promoting your face and yourself so much. I mean, that's important for influencers. They dress up, whatever. It's actually the content is the most important part. That's what makes people come back for more. So think about your content and your experience that you're trying to deliver, and how can you invest in that? Because I guarantee you that if you spend 20 minutes a day investing in experience rather than in social media, you'll probably get some more followers because people are attracted to the material that you're actually delivering. You're spending time making your art, and it's more than just vocals on lyrics, you know? I don't know, I might be wrong. I'm just putting that out there.
Thank you. Once again, nailed it. Oh, wow. Thanks, everyone. Today's amazing. I'm really enjoying this. What I'm going to say is the idea. You are a conduit of an idea and nothing more. Because you can't kill an idea. We've all heard that, but it's the truth. And the ideas come from God. And God can be change. It can be God as you choose to assign it as a Judeo-Christian whatever. It can be nature. It can be the universe. It can be your inner grandness. It can be the mushrooms. Whatever. But the ideas come from God. They come from somewhere we don't understand. Call it that. And that idea will probably stay with you for the rest of your life or a damn long time. I just want to share very quickly, I may have mentioned this before, that I saw this interview with Natalie Portman and someone who did horror. I can't remember. And Natalie was saying that she acts because she wants people to forget about their life for 2 hours. That's it. And then the director, who was a horror director, he said, I do horror because I want to put a monster in the room that is so scary. Firstly, I want to give you a really fun ride because horror is a fun ride. But I want to put a monster in the room that's even more, is so scary. It makes you forget about your tax problems, your marital problems, and your insurance problems for 2 hours. And because they're the real monsters. And I just went, wow. That's why these people are driven. Maybe that's the word here. Driven. What drives you? Music's just the vehicle. What drives you? And the thing about it is because the passion of the drive is going to come through your art, and you are going to attract other people who are also driven, attracted, or interested in that cause, that idea. And, you know, like you said, Aaron, you don't have to be going, my music's going to heal you. You don't have to do that. It just comes through. It's in the unspoken moments. Aaron, what do you think? And Rob, by the way, I totally agree with what you said. Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah, it's drive. It's the obsession. It's literally, I think about things like Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which is so fucking funny. Like, to this day, it is still like, it's tear-jerkingly funny. But where I'm getting at with that is, at one point that was an obsession, right? And they had the good fortune to have multiple people that had that obsession, that they had an idea that they thought was so damn funny that everyone had to see it, you know? So that drive came from everything. The constraints happened, the issues happened, the headaches happened, the budgetary constraints happened, but you could still see, had you have not known all of the proclivities that they faced and all the restrictions and all the issues, you would have just thought, man, that's a banger of a fucking movie. Like, it's hysterical. And then the added joy of knowing the issues that they had and that they still like superseded them, that's a whole nother dynamic. It's a whole nother level of enjoyment. And you may love or hate it, but what I'm saying is, at some point it was an obsession, to the point where even their attention to detail was so great, regardless of, you know, monetary or budget constraints, that they made it happen, you know? So again, it's like, you know, it may not be humor that's driving you or et cetera, but it could literally be an obsession where you're like, okay, I've been ruminating about this album literally for a year. You know, you've got your think tank, you've got your notes, you've got your ideas and images and everything else. And again, it's not anything that you have to but you don't have to show your hand, so to speak. You can still play a damn good game of poker without showing your hand, right? And even at a point in poker, there's times where you lay your cards on the table and you out bluff somebody. You know, maybe I killed the guy on the other side of the table, you know, with my hand, and maybe I bluffed it. Maybe it was all bullshit all along. But what I'm getting at is the thing that you're obsessed with, you know, it's like, you know, you got to have all these drivers. If they're images, if they're your lyrics, if it's a binder that you keep, you know, and eventually that obsession has no other course but to kind of like bleed through or, you know, radiate everywhere. And that's a good thing. But if you're not finding that you're obsessed with that, then, you know, maybe it's time to table that just for a second and go to that next slate, that next thing, that next instrumental, or whatever else that you're doing. Because if you're not completely obsessed with it, then what are you doing? You know, or maybe you need to re-examine it. What made you obsessed with it in the first place?
Thank you. Yeah, man, that's brilliant. I actually want to change it up a bit. There's one more question here that's going to probably go into. No, we asked that. Actually, let's get. No, I want to change it because it's been kind of heavy today. Like fantastically heavy, and I thank you. If anybody else wants to add in on these subjects, now would be a good time. Otherwise, I'm going to talk about everybody's favorite thing, which is gear. It's actually a question from Rob regarding 5.1. I'm going to throw it to you to ask you that question. But Rob, I have a question about gear. Back left and back right behind you, there's a thing with a whole bunch of sliders on it. I'd love to know what that is. And behind you on the other side, is that a Jupiter?
That thing there, that's an Odyssey. And that thing there is it's a 19-inch rack mixer. It's a Dynacorp mixer. It's made by EV. And I picked it up cheap. You know, you were looking for a mixer for your live gig, and I saw something pop up in Facebook Marketplace, and I went and saw this guy because I wanted something really cheap and upright that I could sit on top of my rack of samplers that's got multiple channels. And it was good. It's cheap. Paid $80 for it. It's great. Came with a rack. I put all my effects and stuff in it. But what's really cool is I bought it off a punk rock band that's playing support in a lot of venues this year. So they're called the Rottens. And oh my God, it was so good to be in a garage, crammed in with a drum kit and stacks of PAs and bins, and have to rummage through and get this damn mixer out. And it's like, you guys have got a garage band, I see. And he goes, yeah, you want to come to all of our gigs? We're supporting, you know, all of these Agent Orange and all of these other famous punk bands that are coming to Orlando. And I thought, dude, I'm going to a metal concert this Sunday to see Wasp. I need to be seeing more punk bands. I could go and see more punk bands. So that mixer there is an ode to punk rock. Every time I'm going to touch that thing now, I'm going to think, go to more punk concerts. They're really hard to find because it's meant to be underground. It is underground. So, you know, I've got to message these guys and say, give me some door tickets and, you know, I'll pay you. Get in there and dress up and go ballistically stupid. That's what punk's all about. If I'm going to buy merch, it's going to be at a live gig. That's the experience. You know, when we talk about experience, that's the experience. It's mosh pits. It's gratuitous violence inside of a cramped space with sweaty armpits and alcohol. That's punk, man. I love it. But yeah, good observation. I don't know what I was talking about now.
Thank you. Yeah,
The question. Yeah, 5.1. So you've got a gig coming up for Ice Planet 9000 and an auto driver in a venue that you're going to kind of use house speakers, I guess, or you're going to bring your own. If you're going to do 5.1, what is your strategy for making that happen? Is it just mixing out the channels directly to the amps and drivers that are in the house, or are you going to actually use a Dolby system of some sort? What is your strategy for that, and how would you manage that in real time?
Thank you. The great question. One, the house has got its 5.1 setup. And I've mentioned it before, the DV Theatre at the LGBT Center in Hollywood, where we're doing the gig. I think it's the best black box theater in LA. It has exceptionally good audio, like exceptionally good audio. And I was actually in there the other day because here comes a rant. I noticed that the the fifth speaker, the center speaker, it's not normally it's back in line with everything, but it's actually 10 feet forward. And I didn't notice that, so I didn't assign anything to it. And I thought actually it would make really good sense to use this speaker because spatially speaking, it's there and the two front ones are there. Like if I'm looking down, it's there and they're there. They're not in a line, because if it's in a line and it's the middle, you might as well just point in the center. It's going to have the same sonic effect, but this is not. So what I've learned is that there's a big difference between 5.1 and two sets of stereo and a middle speaker and a bass speaker. They're totally different. Like in 5.1, you can move stuff around. You can assign stuff to be all these different places. Whereas what I'm doing is I'm doing two sets of stereo, and I'm with stuff going to a sub and of the 0.1. See, traditionally what happens is like you've got your front speakers, and then you're going to send everything to this other bus. That's your sub, and you just take everything above 100, 120 out of that sub, and there's your sub. But really what you should be doing is also assigning stuff specifically that only goes to that sub, which is what I'm doing. I'm using I've got a Behringer, and thank you, Brett. You kind of talked me into getting it. It's basically a Midas, but it's rebranded as Behringer. The X18 Air, and Ivan's already looking at it on Reverb. And it's got an ability to you can do a 5.1 mix on it because it's got six dedicated outputs, and they're actually XLRs. They're not, so you don't have to bugger around with DIs or anything. They're XLRs, and it's also got the two dedicated stereo outs. And when you go into 5.1 mode, because I talk about all this stuff on the thing that's coming up with Alex. I think it goes live today. But there's this free mixing software you can get called Mixing Station. And then you buy the components for each mixer. And they do Behringer mixes, they do Midas mixes, they do Allen and Heath mixes, they do Mackie mixes, and they do Yamaha mixes. Same layout, same interface, you just buy them. And these components, these slots cost like $5-6 each. Mixing Station is better than the native mixer software that comes with the stuff. It's brilliant.
And you're using all hardware live, right? Are you using Ableton Live to do any automation?
Nope. All automation is with my foot as the expression pedal. Absolutely everything.
That's interesting.
You can set up automation within the Behringer, within the mixer for this controller to be controlling padding or something like that. But like I said, it's not technically 5.1. I am technically set up as two speakers, two stereo at the front, stereo at the back, middle dude, which I now have to implement, and the sub. Technically, it's different because if I'm going to do that, you can't really, it's difficult moving something between it. Whereas on 5.1, it's a joystick and you just poke where it's going to be.
Kind of makes me think that you would have a live mixer console operator at the back of the hall who could be moving things around for you in real time. I mean, that's an approach.
Yes, it is. But luckily I've got the cool thing about the Emulator 4 is because it has like 128 note polyphony and blah, 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 blah. I can be setting up LFOs and envelopes and stuff to be saying, okay, I'm going to take that one sample and I can pan it left and right, but also I can have a sister, I can duplicate it. So now, and this layer goes out front, left, and right. This second layer goes out back, left, and right, and they're both moving independently. And I might detune them ever so slightly so that just in case anything happens, they're going to be out of tune. So it's going to chorus instead of phase. That's the great thing about the Emulator 4. The reason I have not gone 5.1 is that I need 2 sends. I need one send going to the effects, the dope for Bucket Brigade, and another send going to the BAT Desmodus Versio fucking noise engineering reverb thing, which is fantastic.
Sorry, Razzie, but my last question is, what inputs does the Venue 5.1 system have? Has it got optical or something like that? Or how's it?
No. It's got good old-fashioned analog, and we're pulling actually. So Matt, who is in Auto Dealer, the main band, he's the technical director there. So Matt can do whatever he wants. And it's the theater is designed to be simple because black box theaters don't usually have advanced audio, although we have an alternative agenda that we want to start doing that because it's such a good room and there's so much you can do. They've got a big theater there as well. It's only stereo with a sub, and I've been saying we gotta make this one 5 or 7.1. And that big theater, incidentally, is where they used to have screenings for movies. It's 200 seat, big screen, and it's got a 7.1 system in it, but they pulled it out. And I'm saying we need to put it back in. But that's another conversation. But the small theater, it's just a good old fashioned snake. And it's interesting that we need to be designing we have to redesign it because it's the clientele, because it's a working theater, have never really asked for it before, or they'll come in and do it themselves and then they take everything. So it's really fun that we're sort of going, you know what, this is a really amazing theater and we can be doing some crazy things in here. So yeah, in answer to the question, technically I'm not 5.1. I'm technically quadrasound. It's not really even quadrasound. Like the O1, the O2R, it's got a little joystick on it, and you can assign where it goes. But technically, it's 2 sets of stereo, a middle, and a sub. And I did that because I didn't have enough auxiliaries on the mixer. I thought I did. It's got 18 inputs, but I've used all of them except 2, and I was going to use those 2 for the Moog 1. I wanted to take the Moog 1 out or an Emax out next time, as well as, but now I don't know. And I don't have enough auxiliaries. So, it's really funny. I thought I bought a mixer that could do everything, and it's a good mixer, but the just one thing about I've already outgrown it. So I've got to figure that out. Razzie, so Rob, did you want to ask anything else?
No, that's good. You nailed it. Thanks. That's awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I can't believe you're in XR18 land. It's a fantastic mixer I think it's retailing now for 500 something.
Yeah.
For a new one.
Yeah.
Unbelievably complex routing matrix. Lots of busing internally. Lots of USB routes to and from the host CPU when you've got it connected that way as an audio interface. And the XLR, aux outputs make it great for multi-channel. Rob, there's an interesting distinction that we haven't exactly put a fine point on, but Carl, you said it. You're just doing multi-channel audio, sources to destinations. It's certainly not Atmos, where there's a spatial component that is mapped so you know where your ball is floating around in space. It's just some speakers. And the way that I achieved it was the XR18 outputs directly to powered speakers, and I just placed them around the room, and the operating system allows you to assign which channels are on which speakers. And if you're calling it 5.1, front speakers, rear speakers, low speaker, center channel, they get a space in the room, and it's represented in a little model of the place. And then it's up to you to either just bus the stuff to the channel as a stereo pair, as a mono source in the center. Like there's creative decisions to be made since, like Carl said, we're not really doing 5.1. We're just doing multi-channel audio. So if you do a stereo to the front, a stereo to the back, a stereo to the left pair, there's a lot of decisions you can make for how you want your stuff to go without even worrying about a 3D panning joystick of any sort. Because since we're not doing Dolby Surround in this case, you don't have to worry about this. Like, oh, do you connect with optical so it gets decoded? You don't encode it. It's not Dolby encoded. It's not Dolby at all. It's just cool ass installation art, audio sources, audio destinations, and speakers. And the way I did it was the aux outputs on XLRs to powered speakers, so I didn't even have to add amps. And it sounded cool, you know, you put the thing where you want the thing to come out, and you're in a room and it's like Pink Floyd in 1979, and you get like trippy sounds. I did try to lay it out Atmos-like with adding a 7th height speakers, and you know, starting to run out of good sounding speakers in my stash. But the mix decisions were like dumb and not interesting, and the things, except for some of the Giles Martin stuff that sounded like fantastic mixes, but he was just using it as a cohesive sound and not throwing stuff to the upper speakers and then whizzing around the reverbs to the, it's just, it was distracting what most people are doing.
That's
So,
the thing.
Yeah, I
Distracting.
have opinions about the artistry of it and what you're doing, Carl.
Yeah.
That's
So
That's
I
the
guess
way.
The good news, the good thing is that you can create a sense of immersion and subtle movement. Maybe it's one directional movement, which is good for space stuff, right? The downside is that you've got to deal with the mechanics of the room that you're setting it up in, and then moving around in the room and playing shit through to make sure that your automations don't create just noise in some parts of the audience.
They will. Yeah, that's a really solid point.
Yeah.
Things
But
are going
I-
to cancel and null.
Yeah, I totally get the value of doing an analog version of 5.1. It's just to amplify the experience and create immersion.
What's interesting is that I've rehearsed it using these speakers and speakers over there. It sounds great. That I think that the effort, and although I am going to do this, I will say that the effort involved in actually making true 5.1, I don't know if it's going to be on. We'll see how this gig goes, and then I might redo everything. I don't know.
But you're not going to get in a 5.1 room like a movie theater where you need to present it anyway, so that truly you can't use the sub because it's the LFE channel and you can only use the 4 channels in center. Like you'd be up against limitations trying to wedge your stuff into 5.1 anyway, as opposed to Atmos, which you'd have freedom with.
Yeah, this room is it is true 5.1, and it's sorry, gone.
That's cool. I didn't realize that. So it is set up for like theatrical watching video kind of stuff.
Yeah. The speakers are high. They're like 10, 15, easily 12 feet high. They're mounted on the ceiling. And the good thing about that is that because of the angle everybody is hearing the speakers at and the way they're pointed, if you're right next to a speaker, it won't be overwhelming.
Tuned properly,
Yeah,
good
because
distance
it's
from all
all-
the point sources
yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, that's awesome.
And I had something else, but it's gone now.
Honestly, I don't know how I'd encode true Dolby Surround 5.1 or Atmos for that matter. I'd look it up, but doing it multi-channel with a mixer with a lot of outputs like that, man, that XR18 is great for the job. And did you run out of outputs or internal buses or?
Okay. Firstly, the software I'm using, the app, it's more stable and I like it better. But the downside is with the native Behringer one, you can go into the routing and you can really connect the routing. You can't on this.
Yeah. Mixstation is great. No shade on that. It is fantastic.
Yeah. I lost my point of view again. One thing I'm doing, I've ran out of outputs. That's why I can't send stuff. because I've run out of outputs. That's why I can't do 5.1. Is I can't have, and the effects on it are not like they're okay, but they're like if I want to have something go boom in the front and then delay in the back, that's great. But if I want to have something like a dope for 188 bucket brigade, like a beautiful, it ain't got that, and it definitely hasn't got like the level of the noise engineering reverb. Like that's Eventide level. It's absolutely stunning.
I've baked a lot of stuff in 5.1 and 7.1 and 13 as well for work. And that's easy because it's all in the box, and you can make videos, you can make, audio files and just DVDs, whatever you want to use, USB, plug it into the amp, it works. I've never done live before, so that's why I was really curious, because I think what you're doing is the safe bet. I mean, there are real-time encoders out there, but I can imagine that it could become a real cluster really quickly if something goes wrong, and then you lose your audience immersion because something glitched.
Yeah. And it's played live, and there's no computers, and there's no computer going, now assign this over here. It's all live. So I had to think about what of my fingers are filling what part of the room. And it was absolutely joyous doing that, because it's like to take a sonic break from something, you can push everything to the back, or you can pull the sub out, or something like that. Because the Emulator 4 is a remarkably powerful machine, and you can do all this stuff. Yeah, so it's good. And I've got if everything breaks, the ultimate fallback is I go onto the modular, I have an arpeggiator, and I just use the blaster beam. And it will most definitely create something really stunning.
And will you have any visuals for the performance?
Yeah, it's got a full, beautiful LED lighting rig, and it's also got a massive projection screen, and the screen is 12 feet high, 20 feet easily across. And if there's any visuals ready, Rob, I'd love to use them.
Yeah, I'm putting together some sections of video which can be just on replay.
Beautiful.
So you can build them however you want. And I wasn't sure if you're not going to have a computer. I guess you can just download the files, but
yeah.
I mean, how are you going to play that?
I supply the files to the theater, and they'll just put them onto the projector. Because it ain't going to be timed. It's just going to be all the Ice Planet 9000 videos and your video, hopefully, and they're just going to loop. And then Auto Dealer's got his thing.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
And is that going to play 5.1 if there's audio on it?
Yes, it would, but I'm going to mute the audio.
Okay.
So, yeah, I just mute it.
All right, that's cool.
So yeah, and one really fun thing is like, you can have sound here, but you can throw the reverb to the back. Or you can have the sound behind you that's just like moving between the speakers or something. Throw the reverb to the front, or throw the chorusing to the front. And it's swimming in sound. And I've never really heard it before. Like, I've seen heaps of movies and movie soundtracks, but I haven't heard really obvious. I haven't heard massive obvious stuff, and it's just me. I've never heard it. I know it's out there. I know it exists. I've just never heard it. I don't have a 5.1 system or anything, and it's a wonderful. It's a really lovely. It's a lovely thing. Razi, I see your hand.
Weird quick tip on the XR18. If you do run out of buses, there's 4 more available if you don't use the effects in line. Those aux effects buses can be used as routable buses to whatever outputs you want, or to the master. So you get extras there. And Ultranet, for another set of outputs, it does have available. So if you wanted to get an add-on device to get more routable outputs, it's got that. And you can also janky, but use the headphone output for another left-right separate bus.
So I was thinking about, because I know you can have, so you can assign that output to be specifically output, like the,
All of the outputs are available
no, no,
individually
no, sorry.
addressable.
Yeah,
Go
you
ahead.
were talking about the, because it's got that, there's a connection on it. It's an Ethernet or something connection on it. Can that become more outputs?
Yes.
So what's the device I need for that?
It's made to be a headphone thing.
Yeah.
Anything that has Ultranet on it can be outputs. Ultranet's just the word they use for it. It's a AES EBU multi-channel audio thing. But yeah, there's some stuff. I don't know which devices are. I'd be interested to find out what you find out.
Yeah,
But
because I know there is a headphone thing.
yeah,
I need to look into that. Now I just need to figure out the input. I need more inputs. But yeah, because I wanted to use, like, I was hoping to have 5 for the Moog 1 because it's got 2 stereos and a mono.
are you using the quarter-inch
Yeah.
aux inputs also? The
Yeah,
extra
yeah,
pair?
Um,
Maxed out.
but I don't. I can do it all on stereo on the Moog 1 anyway. But I wanted to. I don't know. It's really funny, man. But yeah, no, that's why I put the question out about the delay. Like I was asking about Eurorack delay. And FYI, I think the noise engineering one is the one I'm gonna, if I end up getting it. But it's like I'm looking at all this stuff, going, look, man, really seriously, I do not need. Like I just don't. I don't need it. I'm wanting. I can really short. I can hack a whole bunch of things, and I've got the. I've already got the bat reverb going on.
Does it have to be Eurorack module?
Yeah, I prefer it because it's gonna sit in there. Like I want to. There's already something in there I want to replace. But and if I replace that thing, I actually get 2. I free up like 10 spaces, and I was thinking about taking the 188-2 Bucket Brigade delay out because it's like huge. It's like fucking 20 across or something. But the thing about it is nothing in the world sounds like it because it's the most beautiful Bucket Brigade you've ever heard. And it can also be the most disgracefully nasty one you've ever heard. And that's another thing. I really wish I had more inputs, because if I had more inputs, you can pull you can tap into each of the Bucket Brigade outputs and pull audio out of them. So you can be assigning the longest delay to the back speakers and this to the front speakers and blah, 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 just to create this absolutely wonderful fucking sound.
You don't want to mix extra channels down in a small mixer and run that into 2 channels on the.
Yeah, well, I've got small mixers. The problem now is actually the actual space of it. Because I could put like a Eurorack mixer in there to take care of certain things and because I've got a Eurorack mixer. But and it's also really interesting that I'm pulling like 6 different outputs out of the out of the emulator 4, and it's interesting to go how they're treated the same. So I purposefully went through and went, you're going to the front speakers, you're going to the back speakers. But yeah, it's a different, it's mixing music in a different dimension to me. So it's really inspiring. I have no idea what I'm doing. It's so exciting. I love not knowing what I'm doing, because knowing what you're doing is boring. Thank you, Rob. Sorry, Razi. Does anybody else want to jump in on this point? And Ivan, I see your hand. Talk to me, baby.
Have you tried out the disting the Expert Sleepers disting?
I had one and I sold it. I didn't like it because it was the jack of all trades and master of none. The reverbs on it were meh.
I probably wouldn't use it for reverb.
Yeah, well, all of the delays, everything it did was like not exciting to me. Even the filters and that was just me, at least anyway. That I ended up selling it, and all the menu diving, I don't want to do that shit. Oh, now this knob needs something. I don't want to do that shit.
There is a lot of menu diving on it.
Yeah, no way.
And on the MK, the Mark IV, like on that little tiny screen, it's massive pain in the ass. I know they've got a new version out that might be better. Uh, haven't seen it in person yet. Also, if you want to ship out more channels, they've got the ADAT. Was it the ES8 or 9? So you can shove like configurable ADAT out, to something that can receive ADAT. So like you can use their stuff to get a lot of audio channels out of your Euro rack and into your external mixer or audio interface someplace else.
Mm. Fascinating, man. Fascinating.
And that I've had plenty of really decent luck with.
Mm. I have a lot to learn. Now I got to figure out where the hell I'm going to put it in the rack. The rack is like totally full. Like even the back of it, I've got the mixer on the back because it won't fit on the front. I do have another rack, but I don't want to use it.
And
Anyway,
at capacity.
yeah. Aaron, talk to me.
You got to put it on like a backpack, like the dude that straps he's got the drum on his back,
Yeah.
the cymbals, and the one man band.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, quick note for Carl and Razi. We had said something to the effect of tabling for another Art of Rock, but I wanted to keep it in mind. It was something to the effect of, I don't know if it was using AI or Chat GPT to kind of help sharpen up album concepts or ideas or promotions. ... I think it was something nebulous around
Yeah,
that, but I
right.
just wanted
It was
I
a
wanted to
dream.
throw it out before we forgot about it to
I made a
pin it
note.
for later, pin it on the board,
I made a note. Thank you very
Yeah, it's
much.
in the toolkit. We could talk about it sometime.
Right on. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm laughing thinking about the aspect of somebody having a giant synth rig on their back, kind of like a one-off keytar to where they're like, okay, I got all this, but get ready for this.
What's
Whip it out.
It's really interesting. It's fascinating how the you come up with a system and it works, then you want more. And I'm really aware of that in myself. It's something I'm trying to figure out. Like it works, and I haven't explored. Just when I get the sandpit working, it's time to play in the sandpit. But now I want to build all this other stuff too. Whereas I could stop and play in the sandpit and just enjoy the sandpit and see what I can come up with in the sandpit. I want to build the sandpit itself. And other people might think, oh yeah, that's great, you're striving. But for me, no. I think that for me personally, I feel that is a distraction. That my job is to play in the sandpit and create stuff in the sandpit because the sandpit works just fine. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's something I'm aware of in myself. So Alex, what do you think about this?
I think you have to strike a good balance between jumping too much between things and never really mastering a setup or a set of tools. And the opposite is just staying with one comfort zone and never pushing out. And I think what Autica did, they had like a decade just with Electron boxes, and then completely abandoned it and moved to Max for Life. So yeah, I think it's a healthy balance between the two. If you think you're stuck sonically and you can't progress any further, then I think it's okay to expand, but jumping around tools isn't good because you never learn any of them and just have the first baby steps on every synthesizer, drum machine, piece of software, whatever.
I totally agree. And it's really interesting that I question how much of what I am doing is anxiety. I have a thing on my fridge that says, "Don't let depression make decisions for you." Same with anxiety. Same with impatience. Yeah. Thank you. Today's been mind blowing. Does anybody want to bring up anything else before we? I haven't been paying attention. I don't know if I don't know if Diana's holding these images. Rob's sending me images. I will look at that image in a moment. Thank you, Rob. I tell you what, we're gonna call this. Every weekend we're here. Every Saturday morning. Please join us. Angelspit's Twitch. Go like Angelspit's Twitch. Also, if you want to throw me $3 a month, that's the Patreon. And if you don't, it's free. So subscribe to that as well. Subscribe for free if you want. If you're in LA, keep December 11th free because we're doing a gig and it's going to be amazing. I'm going to try really hard to stream it. We'll see. There's a playlist that's amazing that you need to check out. It's the Industrial Incisions playlist. Whole bunch of music that you're going to love. I know you're going to love it. And on Wednesday nights, check out the Culture Vulture's synth stream. It's really, really good. But right now, before we do right now, Razi, as always, thank you. Thank you for helping me with this.
This whole thing is a pleasure.
Baby. Right now we're going to raid on over to MTV TV. And I absolutely promise you're going to find your new favorite band there because I have on several occasions. And I know how to work this as I am showing you how good I am at raiding. Boom, raid initiated apparently. See you next week. And we're just going to hang back here and chat.
Your video is live if you still want to put it into the chats or if you're still live.
My video?
The Vulture Culture one.
Oh, tits.
Since an hour.
Okay. I'm totally confused. All right. I'm gonna fix everything in the whole wide world. Did I click it? I don't know what's going on. It's just too hard. Okay. Okay. You guys rock. We're gonna stay back here and chat and